Hello, this is You Welcome with Marcella Arguello. That's me. I'm a comedian. I'm amazing. And my guests are Priyanka Wali, comedian slash doctor, and Lydia Popovich, comedian slash bad bitch. No disrespect, Priyanka. You're also a bad bitch.
Dr. Bad Bitch.
Dr. Bad Bitch.
Yeah.
And this is Cochina. She's new, so she's attached. Fucking piece of shit. What's it like to be a woman in comedy? Anybody want to jump off?
I mean, it's great to be a woman in comedy.
I agree.
I think it's a better time than ever. I love it. I have no problems with it. Does it propose unique challenges when you're by yourself and you're on the road? Absolutely. Does it present unique challenges when you're not alone and when you're with other people, being another woman or another man? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think you also have to take into consideration, like, you two are both significantly taller than me. So, like, for me, like, I do think about safety as a female comedian.
Yeah.
And so
I definitely don't think about safety.
Yeah,
Men
like
are
that's
scared of
something
me,
that you
yeah.
probably take for granted. But I remember.
I don't take it for granted. I'm very aware that men and women are frightened of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm scared of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember like going to open mics in the beginning and being really stressed out because of safety.
The three of us all started in the Bay Area doing comedy. It's a unique little world. I mean, there's a lot of creeps and weirdos roaming around San Francisco and the San Francisco comedy scene. And I'm not just talking about the comedians.
Heck yes.
But the San Francisco comedy scene has changed a lot. I don't go back that much anymore. And I know the Punchline is closing to move. And so I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I mean, it's interesting because when I started in San Francisco, I didn't worry about going into open mics. I never worried about my safety until we started traveling around, and then that's when I started worrying about my safety. But that is because of what I look like and who I am and how I carry myself. I'm a very big personality, so I went out of my way to make sure that people did not fuck with me.
Right.
I do think San Francisco has changed. I think that it's an incredibly wealthy city now, which means that there's sort of this air of entitlement to absolutely everything, which I think is making it more difficult for people to laugh and to have fun. I don't know what it's done to safety because I don't live there anymore, but I don't feel like people like to laugh anymore.
Yeah, I definitely have stuff to say about that because, first of all, with Silicon Valley blowing up in the Bay Area, what you have now is an influx of young engineers. They tend to be very emotionally unintelligent. They have a lot of money too. So you have new audiences that have wealth to come to these shows, but they don't have life experience.
They don't have a sense of humor.
Yeah, so like they're not like that mature. So the stuff
right.
they laugh at is really just weird stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I remember like as I progressed how much the comedy would change. And it would get to the point where like you would do well, but you wouldn't like feel good about it because you like we're making this weird group of people laugh about weird stuff. So
I created a word because people on the left and the right are both like so sensitive right now, and the word is offendonormative. One word. It describes people who are offended all the time by words on behalf of other people. No one asks you to be offended. And it applies to so many different types of people, and I think that a lot of the tech bros definitely fall into like, they sometimes are offended at the wrong time, and it's like, dude, what do you...
The most random points at which to be offended.
yeah, they're weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Hashtag men are weird. So Lydia and I, well, I should say, I just finished doing a tour for The Woke Bully, which is my album. Get it, download it, stream it, you torment it. I don't even care. What is it? Torrent it.
Don't torment it.
Don't torment it.
I mean,
yeah, you probably
torment
could.
it.
It'll torment you first, and then you can torment it. And so I did a tour, and Lydia joined me on many of those dates. Lydia, I don't know how your experience was, but I had a great time. Save for a couple of dates that were pretty brutal.
True.
But I was thinking about how in comedy, because we as insecure human individuals, we focus on the negative more so than on the positive. So it's like if you have a really great show, you're like, that was great, and then you move on pretty quickly and you forget it. But then you have a bad show and that stays with you. I mean, it's like a funk that you can't wash off. I had a couple of those, but I don't know how you felt because you're featuring. So like doing 20-25 minutes is pretty kind of the sweet spot.
It is. It's kind of hard. I think you told me once, it's like, it's kind of hard not to crush in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't, then you should look better at your act and look at your timing and make better choices.
Right.
Because, like, here are people that are coming to see a headliner. The headliner has hand-selected you. How can you not win, right?
Yeah.
Bad shows are subjective. I've definitely had sets where we had a fire night, but I ran way long, which is not something that I like to do.
Yeah.
And I was...
Also, something I don't like her to do either.
She was very mad at me.
I was pretty pissed.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Had a great set, but because I started off a tour going over, which is something that you shouldn't do in comedy. Always do your time. Don't run the light. Be respectful of the room, especially if it's a place you've never been before. Do you want to work somewhere, bitch? Get it together. And that's basically what I was talking to myself about, right? And I carried that, but other people would have been like, I crushed, she's overreacting, she's just mad because I crushed.
Right.
And I think that's a big difference between two women and two friends that are traveling together versus two male comics, where it's like we're competitive, but not with each other in that way.
Right.
She pushes me to be stronger. I want her to do the best that she's going to do. If I do great, she's going to do great.
Right.
Those shows where you do something wrong or something doesn't land the way that you wanted to can be just as devastating as a show that was empty as hell, which we also had. I think that's one of the things that's holding us back as females in comedy is that we feel like there needs to be this perfect situation in order for us to crush.
So I used to open for Felipe Esparza, who's a great comedian. He has a great podcast on all things comedy called What's Up, Fool? And he would point out when men would want to come up and say what's up to me, and the girlfriend would pull the dude, like he would see them physically restrain like their man so that they wouldn't come up to me. And I'm like, bitch, I don't want to fuck your gross ass boyfriend who lives in buttfuck America. Like, I didn't come here to fuck him. I came here to like make people laugh. But it's like you get some hating ass bitches on the road.
Yeah.
We've done shows where I've even seen women who are in the audience where they already, as soon as she walks on stage, they have checked out.
Yeah, totally.
For those who don't know, I'm 6'2", I'm thin as fuck, I love myself. And like, I've noticed that if someone hates themselves, they usually hate me a lot.
Yeah. And you can see it physically on their face.
Yeah.
Like their face will sour and pucker, and especially when she's doing well, or if a man that they're with or men near them are laughing.
Or into it,
I mean, I've seen this.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
You guys have a favorite set you've done recently and why it was your favorite?
I did a set somewhere weird in the valley of Los Angeles, and it was for a group of AA folks.
Oh,
and
wow.
They do a comedy show, and it's all people who are recovering drug addicts and alcoholics. And I went up and I did 35 minutes in front of them, and I was very nervous about it because I was like, I smoke all of the weed. So I went and I did 30 minutes in front of these people, and I told stories, I did my act, I did a bunch of stuff, I took a bunch of weird little side roads. I had so much fun, and these people ate it up.
Yeah.
And there was zero judgment, and it was such a mixed bag. Like I went in there and there was guys in there that looked like they'd worked at every truck stop in America. You know what I mean? There was women in there that I was just like, how many children don't you have anymore? Just all kinds of different people. And I was like, these people are gonna like me. They're all largely white, all largely older, and I ended up having such fun.
That's great. Priyanka?
Probably my
I
favorite.
think probably this corporate gig for a bunch of Indian people.
Oh, wow.
To be really honest, like I wasn't looking forward to it because Indian crowds can be really hit or miss. Like if they're super conservative, like I'm super triggering for them. Like all the like Indian dads, like they hate me. Anyways, I do it. It's like a bunch of professionals, like mid-range, like I would say like 30s to 50s. And then this like, I would say like probably like older woman came up to me and she said something like that really moved me. She was like, it's so nice to see a female Indian role model like yourself doing this. And I like almost started tearing up in the bathroom.
Sweet.
It was so sweet.
I mean, when I would open for Felipe, a lot of like older Latinas, I mean, all the Latinas, but the older ones would always just be like, we're so proud of you. And I'm like, oh my God, my own mother doesn't say that to me.
I have the same thing when I opened Felipe as well. It's like all of the women and the way that they say it, they're so relieved and they're so excited. And they all leave and they're like talking shit to their partners. And they're just like, oh, you don't know shit. Like, I'm gonna do this. And the men are always like, oh, cool, thanks.
It's always so funny. Like when I do like dirty sex jokes, like it's always the Indian aunties that like are screaming and like going crazy. I don't know if they're like not getting laid at home. So like when they see these jokes, they go nuts. It's funny. Amazing.
Well, that's great. That's perfect. That brings us to our next topic. I found this Twitter thread and it's this woman with this like uterus print shirt. and she's just giving all this sex advice. She also has a pussy puppet.
Of course she does.
Yeah.
Actually, that makes it more legitimate
I love
to
it.
me.
She's so great.
If there's a white woman talking about vaginas that doesn't have a pussy puppet, I don't want to hear her talk.
Head of the clitoris is located just under the hood, the clitoral hood, and you can stimulate the clit directly that way.
Okay.
The G-spot is the portion where the clitoris on the inside straddles the vagina. If you go on a heterosexual hookup, you have an 11% chance of orgasming.
Dang.
If you go on a lesbian hookup, you have a 93% chance of both women orgasming.
That's crazy.
The only difference is lack of penis. They're focusing exclusively on the clit.
First of all, this 11% number to the lady in the uterus dress, like, what is the population that you polled? One thing about sexual health studies that I think people do not realize is that most of the studies done are on heterosexual white middle-class couples, upper to middle-class couples. That's generally the population that's studied. So yeah, maybe it sucks to be like, I don't know, like a white couple in middle America. Only 11% of them aren't, but the rest of us are doing great or something, you know?
So you're saying a study needs to be done?
Yeah, hell yeah, there needs to be more studies for sure.
Don't take that tone with me. On my show,
I just get very passionate about,
I love it. I love it.
Like, there needs to be better research before people go around saying stuff like this that then causes a lot of distress in the community.
I was fascinated when she landed on the fact that only 11% of women experience orgasm when they're having heterosexual sex, so man and woman. And which, my question to both of you ladies, how important is having an orgasm to you every time you have sex?
Muy importante. Pour moi.
For me, it's not as important every single time, but because I view sex as a holistic experience that's not like tied intrinsically to an end goal of coming.
So I would like to recognize that that is probably a much healthier approach to sex than the way I look at it. Like, I just want, I think that's actually like a really healthy way of looking at sexual intimacy.
But when I masturbate, 100%.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say. I know that my vibrator can do things that a man cannot do. And so I'm like, well, if my vibrator can do this thing that a man can't do, then I'm fine with that. And if a man, I fuck dudes for the dick. Like,
same.
Of course.
Like, that's that also best part of a man is his dick.
Right.
Truly.
No question. But that's me. Like, it is me. You know, I don't know what Cochina likes. Like, you know, I don't even know if she likes men. I'm still learning that shit too. But it was interesting hearing women debate whether they like to orgasm every single time. Because as we all know, I would say, 98% of men are coming and orgasming every single goddamn time when they're fucking a pussy.
Well, are they
saying.
though? I mean, 50% of men like above the age of 40 have erectile dysfunction. So they may actually not be orgasming as well.
I was really fascinated by the discourse that this kind of sparked. Because there's so many, and it was a lot of black and brown women, because that's who I follow, and they were just like losing their shit. But then I think a lot of women are scared to admit what Lydia is just saying right now, which, as you said, is very normal and healthy.
And I think just young people in general, you learn your cues from porn, you learn your cues from music, you learn your cues from your friends, and you start modeling and emulating these behaviors that you feel like are acceptable within where you're at. And we've just gotten to a point where it's okay to have an alternative lifestyle. You can say like, oh, I'm bisexual or not, you know what I mean, depending upon your gender. I think there's still a huge stigma for young men who are saying, hey, I'm bisexual, as opposed to women.
Yeah, and I think the porn comment is really pertinent, especially in terms of people understanding what maybe even a normal body is supposed to look like. Totally. Like when men are using porn to understand sex for the first time, they actually may have trouble when they actually are with a real woman who's not a porn star.
Yeah, shit's all blown out. You're
and
Jesus.
recognizing, oh, this is what a normal body looks like, you know? So I think there's a lot of stuff that can, especially young minds, that they're using that as their initial experiences to sex.
I was thinking about when you were talking about, you know, this is a young brown woman who's having access to this information, and she's being encouraged to stick her hand in there and kind of figure it out.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
You know, kind of access to that.
Yeah.
But like everybody's different as well.
Right.
Like
Yes.
that's one of the problems I have too. Is like I always hear the G-spot being described in that same way, bitch. That's not where my shit is at.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if it is,
exactly.
that's not how it works.
Right.
Right,
You know what I
totally.
mean? It took a lot of digging around in there.
Yeah.
And then some help, somebody else digging around in there. They'd be like,
Yeah.
like,
That's great.
I think you should write a children's book called "You Should Dig Around in There."
Dig around in there.
Dig around in there.
Dig around in there. See what's going on.
And then it's like a pop-up pussy.
Right, it's all burr, and then like the back comes out.
Part of empowerment is learning what is unique to your body.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important.
Well, and I think that's a fundamental difference between why men, you know, theoretically come 100% of
Yeah.
the time and women theoretically come 11% of the time, is it also goes back to how men and women ask and lead. A man, the very first time he has sex with a woman, would tell her exactly or show her.
Yeah.
You know, let's hope it's with consent, but
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean, that doesn't always happen. So it depends on where you're at. But I think ladies, it's also part of our responsibility to direct traffic.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Say what you want, say what you don't want, show him exactly where it is, because he doesn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
So true.
Bodies are confusing. You want him to fuck you just like he fucked some other bitch? I don't want that either.
Right.
Nothing
Okay.
is weirder than a guy that like starts. You could tell is
His
trying
routine?
to his routine, and he pulls out his routine on you, and you're like,
that.
I don't know who the fuck you were fucking before this, but this ain't for me, bitch.
Exactly. That is the most uncomfortable conversation to have with someone, and it's also the most liberating because that's when you know in that moment whether or not it's going to work with that person. Is how they
Yeah.
respond.
Yes.
If you're able to smack them into it and their eyes light up and they're like, yes, bitch, please tell me. Or if they're like, but this is my,
Yeah.
I pumped twice and then you turn over and then we.
Pretend like it's new. Just pretend. We're pretending like it's new.
Exactly, trust me.
Oh my god, it's so big.
huge.
Yeah.
Can't breathe.
Sure, it's big, sir. What do you want me to say? All right, now that that's all covered, we're gonna jump into some questions that have been submitted by my followers on social media. So the first question is, what's the best piece of advice you've received from a relative?
A relative.
I feel like most of my relatives, A, don't understand what I'm doing,
Yeah.
or B, weren't very supportive in a time when I needed advice.
Totally.
So maybe that's part of why this question was brought up.
Yeah.
Is maybe they're looking for support from their family and they're not finding it or seeing it, and they're, because people have expectations from their
Yes.
family.
So I completely agree.
Yeah.
I have actually gotten the best advice from like younger cousins. They're way more understanding than like the
They're
the
supportive.
elders. Yeah, and they're super supportive.
What's the best advice you've gotten from one of your younger
Well,
cousins?
I was going through a breakup. He just basically explained to me that this person that had broken my heart like wasn't the right person for me.
Yeah.
And like gave me all the examples in the story about like why this like wasn't a loving, kind person for me.
Yeah.
And it was like exactly what I needed to hear. He's like probably less than 20. He's like,
Oh, wow.
like 17, 18, like pretty young guy.
Wow.
And he just was like so honest about it. It was really interesting.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
That's really sweet.
Cute.
I don't know. I feel like you and I are in similar situations where I think the best advice isn't necessarily overt advice, which was me just getting comfortable with knowing that my family can't necessarily provide me the level of advice that I'm looking for or that maybe
Yeah.
other people get from their family. And
Yeah.
that that's okay. It's not always the exact perfect thing that I want my mom to say, but she will look at me and she will be like, as long as you're happy, I love you, I believe in you.
Yeah.
It's not groundbreaking. It's not the most original advice, but I know that there's truth there, and I know that that's the best she can say because she doesn't understand what I'm doing. My dad is no longer with us. He was probably the only other person that gave me real advice, and his advice was always very non sequitur and like just kind of like, well, fuck him, do what you want.
Right,
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Classic dad.
nothing crazy, but it was just accepting the fact that like I'm not going to get profound advice, but I will get profound love if I'm open to receiving it.
Dude, once again, a very healthy, mature, and like awesome response. Like, you are amazing. Like, seriously.
I want to say that my dad, I mean, he was not supportive of my career. It took him a long time. And actually, I didn't even know until the day of his funeral that he supported me until like all of his like clients would come up to me and be like, your dad was so proud of you. And I was like, it would have been nice to hear from him.
Yeah, exactly.
I always loved what he would say because there was a long time where I would like go back and forth from Modesto to drive down here to LA. And when I would leave for the trip, he would always be like, be careful in Hollywood. You can't really trust those people. You never know who, you can't trust any of them. And I would always be like, that's crazy. And then he was right. And I actually miss him just kind of like giving me that like little warning before I even left the house. So that was always like one of those things that it has stayed with me more as now that he's gone and I don't hear it. And it's true, like you really can't trust people out here. Like LA is weird.
Super good advice.
Yeah, it's super good advice. All right, last question. What's the difference between a friend and a potential lover? This person goes on to say, like a dope person who's cute and you spend time with. So where does the line go between I enjoy your beautiful company, but I don't want to date? Why not? I don't know. It's a feeling. First of all, learn how to write a question. Difference between a friend and a potential lover.
I think that if I'm understanding this question correctly, I think the physical component is the difference between a friend and a potential lover. Because you don't fuck your friend.
Right.
I mean, you could fuck your friend, but like, they're not just a regular friend then if you're fucking them. They're a potential lover.
Right.
So to me, it's the physical aspect, but I don't know. What do you think?
First of all, bitch, you need to stop being afraid of commitment.
Yeah.
You need to put yourself out there and decide what the
true.
fuck you want. Do you want a lover or do you want a friend, bitch? Because it sounds like you don't know what the fuck you want. All right? What I think you should do is stop wondering about your friends and your potential lovers and love your damn self. All right?
Yes.
Figure out who the fuck you are and what the fuck you want, and then you won't have these dumbass questions. But to go back to what you were saying,
But to go back to what you were saying.
if you want to fuck somebody, that's a potential lover. If you want to have brunch with someone, that's a friend. This isn't rocket science. This is very, very easy. Is your pussy wet? Do your nipples get hard? Yes, you want to fuck them.
Yeah, I think the question that this person is really asking is, do they want to ruin their friendship with someone that they admire?
Don't do it. For what? Find someone else that you don't respect and fuck them.
But don't do it. I mean, sometimes it's good to ruin a friendship with someone.
Well, it's like it's
Yeah.
good to take the risk, right? Like
I mean, I think that's what life is.
that. I agree.
You know, I've definitely had male friends who I thought we were just friends. There was no potential love stuff there, and then they made a move, and my polite decline made them uncomfortable. And it was like, oh, this was determining whether we were going to stay friends.
Right. That makes it more clear the way that you just said that. It's like, well, then ruin a friendship. Yeah, you weren't really friends with that person. That means they've always been someone you wanted to potentially love. And I guess that's what I'm talking about. Where it's like, if you've had friends for a long time and then one day you wake up and decide you want to fuck them, like, I could also see that being like, oh shit, like, I just realized this person is everything and I've been ignoring this.
Yeah.
That would possibly be worth it as well, knowing, okay, I'm going to change this dynamic, but I need to change this dynamic, otherwise I can't continue to be in a friendship with this person.
Yeah.
Those situations, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But otherwise, find new friends or fuck other people.
That's what this show is about. We are here for you and to make your life better. My name is Marcella Arguello. Thank you to Lydia Popovich and Priyanka Wali.
Thank you.
And to Cochina. You guys, thanks. Have a good one. Peace.
Ciao.